could tell my husband to that's him leaving. Yes. If you want him, you better grab him.
It's really good. I don't want to stop.
It's incredible listening to you speak, because most of us, especially women, we want to take the back seat and be like, oh, no, fine, maybe somebody else knows it better than I do. Maybe I will learn it whenever, wherever. Maybe I just need to raise my kids. And you said something interesting, Gina. You said that you quit to be there for your children more. Were you there?
No. But I did take my kids along with me, and I think that was very enjoyable for me. It's because it was my office. I mean, the kids would come straight to the office after school, and they'd chill out there doing their homework or whatever it was. It became a very family business, and they're very much part of my journey. I mean, most of my journey, one of the two have been there with me. So it's been very, very precious to have them, just similar to me and my childhood. You know, that's exactly what I've carried on, is that now it's my children and me. They're part of my business. They're part of my growth.
Power to you, and to all the women out there who do not let motherhood make them give up on their dreams.
No, and we can have it all. You know, we can have it all. You know, we really can. I get this question about balance all the time. Yeah. And it really irritates me, to be honest with you, because men need to find that balance too. You know, family is about both of us. It's about the man and the woman, and both of us need to be balancing.
This is interesting, because the next time I meet a man, I will drop him that question. Just to see what their face will look like.
I mean, a lot of my male friends never get asked that question.
Yes, they do.
And yet I don't know of a single interview where I have not been asked that question.
Thank God I didn't ask it, guys. I didn't ask it. I didn't. Tori did not ask it.
It was coming.
No. Maybe not in the balanced way, but it's important that you bring it out there to encourage and empower other women. And you have a foundation as well that focuses on youth and women. Maybe you can just tell us a bit more about that.
So my foundation, I started it about 8 years ago. I haven't done as much as I really want to do with it, just because I've been very busy trying to run a business. But now, you know, that my business got acquired, I'm really looking forward to spending more time with young women who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, and who are a bit scared at the prospect, because I think that's the other thing, is that we need to figure out, you know, what is an entrepreneur and what is a self-employed person. They're two different things.
Yeah, yes, they are. Please break it down.
You know, well, an entrepreneur really is taking the risks and, you know, is investing in a couple of things as they go along. A self-employed person is doing something that is self-employed, that they're say a hairdresser or whatever, makeup artist, whatever. They're self-employed. They're not taking huge risks.
Because they do it themselves.
They're doing it themselves.
And
they're not hiring.
You're able to let the business run on its own.
And you're not, you know, and if you're self-employed, you're not hiring. You're not really taking the overheads that an entrepreneur is. And so I think there's some kind of, and there's nothing wrong with either of the two. There's nothing wrong with being self-employed or being an entrepreneur. It's just two different things.
Gina Din Group got acquired. How did that come about? How hard was that for you, or easy? I don't know. But at what point how did you get there?
Well, it was actually a conversation with my children. And, you know, they were like, so Mom, what's the plan, you know? And I'm like, well, what do you mean, what's the plan? You know, well, you know, time's moving, you know, what's, and I'm looking at them thinking they're the plan, you know. Like, oh, well, one of you will come back and, you know, take this on, right? And they just looked at me like, no. Actually, Mom, no. You know, that's your dream. And they were absolutely right. They have their own dreams. And I'd done the 14 years at Barclays, done 23 years in my own business. And so I was thinking, okay, well, what is my goal? What is my exit? And I think with businesses, it's really about us thinking about the end from the beginning. You know, we always need to have the end game in mind. And what better than being acquired by the #1 communications company in the world? And it's bittersweet, to be honest with you. It's like, you know, taking your child to university. You know, suddenly you've raised this child. My business was 100% my child from scratch, you know, and you're leaving it in the hands of somebody who's going to take it and to the next level. And that's really hard. I mean, it was exactly the same feeling. It was exactly the same feeling as when I dropped off my kids. You know, when I was like, oh my God, you know, but I trust them. I trust them to to honor the legacy that I've built. I trust them because they're a family-owned business too. So I think for me that was very much an attraction, that we were very strong family-owned businesses. I felt very confident that they were very keen on expanding on the continent. And that was important to me because when I built my brand, we suddenly became a Pan-African brand, not just a Kenyan brand. So I was very keen, wherever I placed my brand, that the African strategy was strong. And I really believe with Edelman, it's extremely strong. And I'm really proud to be their advisor for the continent. And I'm really excited to see how that journey continues.
So maybe you can tell us more about your children, Natalia and Nathan.
So Natalia is a professor in English at Warwick University. She did her 3 degrees at Oxford. She's super. She's like my BFF completely. Yeah, she's a great girl.
How old is she?
She's going to be 30 this year. But we're really good friends. We're very tight. We do have a lot of fun together. But she's very smart. And she's very focused and everything that I am not. So I look up to her with a lot of awe and a lot of respect. And she's doing her thing, She's teaching English. She's speaking at all these amazing conferences. And her focus is 16th, 17th century travel writing.
Oh.
I know. That's what I said.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
And she sends me stuff to read, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I understood half of this, But she's doing her thing, and I'm super proud of her. Nathan is 24, and he's doing his master's in football at Loughborough University in the UK, and he's incredible. He's a sports guy, very keen on sports on the continent. And does a lot when he comes back here. He really spends a lot of time trying to build capacity here, and so I'm excited that they're going to follow what they love to do.
So one thing I'll say is that I've been very fortunate in that I don't have to look too far for a role model. I've watched my mum excel in her professional life, but she never once stopped being a very active and present parent. And I think that's what I appreciate most about her, is that no matter how successful she was in her professional life, her motivation always remained my sister and I. And I know that's something both my sister and I really do appreciate. And it's a lesson that I know I'll carry on for the rest of my life, is that family is the most important thing. And it honestly has been my mom who taught me that. And yeah, I'm the luckiest guy in the world to call her my mom.
Through your son, you were part of launching the NBA Junior here in this country, which is huge, even for not just you and your son or the
it's great for the country. It's great for the country.
Yeah, it is huge, and creating opportunity, building capacities locally. How's that going?
So I wasn't really into sports at all until Nathan, became quite certain that that's what he was going to follow as a career. And I started spending a lot more time with him, doing things with him, and I suddenly found I really enjoyed it. But he was a big basketball fan, and became good friends with Luol Deng, who's the South Sudanese basketball player. And Luol has been an incredible inspiration to Nathan. I spent a lot of time with him. Nathan then went to Toronto, to the Toronto Raptors, and interned with the Toronto Raptors and Masai Ujiri. Masai is amazing. I mean, he's got the Giants of Africa, which he does incredible work across the continent with young people. So, so Luol and Masai have been absolutely great inspiration to Nathan. But then I got to know Amadou Gallo-Fall, who runs NBA Africa. And I was blown away because Amadou goes to all these countries, starting these junior leagues in these different countries that he goes to. And I became very good friends with Amadou. But it just exposed us as a family to the African players in the NBA and the incredible people that they are. And some of them have come from very, very challenging beginnings, but have gone on to be these amazing basketball players. But what is so inspiring for me is what they want to do in the countries that they come from. So what they give back, how they invest in community. It's been great for me. And for my son to be exposed to that at a very young age has been just a great blessing, because I think he realizes the enormous responsibility of going back and giving back to society.
Who's Gina Din now? Does that change for you?
No, it really doesn't. I think I'm very fortunate that I have my name.
Yeah.
That my name wasn't sold. So my business, my part. So there's a Gina Din group,
Yes.
and then Gina Din Corporate Communications is what got acquired. But there's still the Gina Din group, and that has other investments. It has other things that I'm doing. But nothing takes away from what I am as a person. And I think for me, chapter 2 is about trying to figure that out. And right now I'm just like exhaling and enjoying the time that I can just get to spend where I want to.
Oh
with who
yeah,
I
it's
want
been
to.
difficult finding you, Gina Din. You're always in and out.
Exactly.
In and out.
Exactly. And it's going to get even more difficult, just so that you know. But
Okay.
yeah, it's super. It's nice. It's nice just having this time. I'm very fortunate because we're always on this treadmill of life.
Yeah.
And we change as people. And I think that's something that I've realized now is that I figure that I'm now in the evening of my life. And I, like what was true for me in the morning is not really true for me in the evening. So that, what we told ourselves in the morning quite often is a lie in the evening. And so I'm enjoying this evening of my life, and I'm just trying to figure out, what is true for me now. I think when we're in the morning of our lives, we're very defined by what people think. We will change ourselves so that we make other people happy. And when you get to the evening of your life, you're like, this is
I'm gonna
me.
do
I
me.
am. This is who I am. If you don't like it, sorry. I feel very blessed that I've got the opportunity, because most people don't leave when, they stay on for longer than they should.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was really interesting. The former president of Ghana, good friend of mine, John Mahama, said something to me once, and he said, you have to exit the stage when the applause is the loudest.
Gina, you have an amazing relationship with the company that I work for, that is Switch TV, and the BOMA. If you can tell us more about that, and Red Cross as well.
So I'm the Goodwill Ambassador of the Kenya Red Cross and have been for quite a number of years, maybe like 17 or 18 years. And it's been part of, what is so, like what makes me who I am is just being able to see some of the humanitarian work that the Kenya Red Cross does. And it never fails to just get me at a point in my heart that is so deep. When you look at the terrorist attacks that we've had, when you look at the famines or the floods, the Red Cross is always there. So I'm very, very proud of the work of the Kenya Red Cross. Now, part of that relationship for me, which has been so exciting, is sustainability and how we ensure that the Kenya Red Cross is funded. And some years ago, the Red Cross decided to go into commercial businesses that would fund the work of the Red Cross. And that started with the hotels, the hotel school, the ambulance company, and of course Switch TV, which I'm so excited to be on today. And late last year, they decided to split the humanitarian work and the commercial work. And so the commercial businesses are now under BOMA Pan-African. And I'm the chair of BOMA Pan-African. So I chair the board that all the other boards report to. But I'm also the chair of the school, BIHC, and that to me is just so incredible to see all those young people getting a skill and competing at global level. It just is so exciting. And going off to the States, and now we have some in Dubai, doing internships. It's so exciting.
Well, Gina became the Goodwill Ambassador of the Kenya Red Cross Society because at the time the society had been faced with a lot of challenges, particularly aftermath of the post-election violence and where the profile of the society became very high. So in part of its growth, the society leadership then was of the view that it would be very good to have a Goodwill Ambassador. And Gina was the first ever Goodwill Ambassador that we had. Gina was deliberately selected because of her exceptional skills. Gina is one human being that I can say is very blessed person because Gina embodies what you would want to see in a humanitarian. Gina would give her life for anything to help another human being. Because of also her exceptional skills in public relations and in PR, that she was highly regarded not only in the country but continentally and globally, there was no better choice than Gina. She was involved with our work way back in the early 80s. She was involved in our work in the slums, people positively living with HIV/AIDS, and every time there'd be a disaster in the country, Gina would be the very first one to call to say, what can I do? How can I help? Leaving her own family behind and coming out to help, for me, was something that not many people do in this country these days. Well, the role of a goodwill ambassador for me is a person who represent the institution, represent the organization, its brand, its values, its principles, and its ideals. And Gina, as I said, embodies all these. But Gina also has gone out of her way to promote the work of the organization, promote it locally and internationally. And she's been the perfect ambassador to be able to do that. And for me, just her humanitarianism and her unrelenting goodwill is something that I think we would want to say fitted in this role. And she was always on the front line, visiting refugee camps in Dadaab, visiting our HIV/AIDS people living positively with that, looking at our drug and rehab center in Lamu, going out to the slums in Nairobi, and going out to see our environment program and agriculture program. I would say she was a perfect role model for that job. You know, we also then, I think about 5-6 years ago, Kenya Red Cross got Victor Wanyama, the famous Kenyan footballer in the Premier League in the UK and now playing in Canada. Victor became the Youth Goodwill Ambassador. So he was also, again, dealing with issues of young people, especially in less privileged areas of our society and our country. Last week, he made a passionate plea with his foundation, the Victor Wanyama Foundation, and the Kenya Red Cross Youth, to appeal to young Kenyans, especially with the onset now of the coronavirus, to say the importance of hand washing, the importance of hygiene and sanitation. So there are people like that who, you know, give their time and energy to support other fellow countrymen, countrywomen. I think for the future, Kenya Red Cross, I'm sure, would always benefit from the likes of Gina, Victor, and many other high prominent Kenyans who are role models for young people. But I would say from the commercial side of the work of the commercial side of the Kenya Red Cross, which is the Boma Pan-African, Gina has been in the last 5 years since the inception of the Boma International Hospitality College. She's been the chair director of the board, and you can see how well the school has done. Internationally respected. She's traveled abroad to go and speak for and on behalf of the school. She's also now the chair of the board of directors for the group holding company, the Boma Pan-African, which it just started in January this year, so it's still early days. But I'm sure with her involvement and the rest of the directors, Boma Pan-African is going to go places.
I keep seeing videos of how sponsorship works there, where they get students from all over the world and they come here, get the skill, and then they're sent back to the world, which is really,
exactly.
really
And I mean, Kenyans are we're hospitable people. You know, that just is something that comes easily to us. We're very hospitable, and I think we're now formalizing that's what we're born with into a skill that they can take anywhere in the world, and they can do that globally. So when you look in Dubai, a lot of the hotels are the management are Kenyans, the waiters are Kenyans, the people in the gym are Kenyans. So for me, just enabling young people to have an incredible global skill is really exciting. And we have lots of different nationalities there. For me, I think the school really needs to be a Pan-African school, because don't forget we have a very young generation on the continent. In every country, there are a lot of young people. And what are these countries going to do with all these young people if they don't have skills? So I'm excited as the chair of Boma Pan-African to take these products that we have and take them across the continent, because I really believe we are architects of our continent. People are tired of hearing politicians speak. We want to hear other people speak, and we have the ability to take what has worked here and take it to other countries on the continent. So I'm very excited to be part of that growth of Boma Pan-African and to carry on funding the incredible work that the Kenya Red Cross does.
Great. Just taking you back to the Goodwill Ambassador, because it comes with huge responsibilities for you. What are some of those things? What does it mean to be a Goodwill Ambassador for the Red Cross?
It's really lending your voice to causes that you feel strongly about. And, you know, for me, it was really women and children. During the famine, don't forget it was the women and the children that were hurt the most. And just really going out there and supporting them and letting them know that what they were saying, we heard. Because sometimes people just need to be heard. And so for me, it was really lending my voice to the work that the Kenya Red Cross already does. I think it was last year where we launched the rehab center in Lamu. You know, addiction is a huge problem in this country. And so seeing this beautiful center in Lamu that the Red Cross have built, it's just amazing. I mean, everywhere you go, there's very few corners of this country that the Red Cross hasn't touched. And so for me, it's very humbling to be part of that journey.
Absolutely. You said that you have time now and you're very intentional with what you decide to give your time to. So what is your schedule like?
Well, don't forget.
Slow down a bit.
Well, don't forget, I'm still, you know, an advisor to Edelman for Africa. So that's still a responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, trying to find areas for them to cooperate in different projects on the continent. I'm very excited by that because that keeps me in the industry in some way, but without the headache of day-to-day operations. So I feel very lucky to have that. And so I spent some time trying to figure out, you know, where Edelman could be best placed on the continent to actually take their services. And one of the things that Edelman does, which is really exciting, is they run something called the Trust Barometer, because they realize that companies now, you know, trust and reputation is becoming such an important currency.
Yeah.
And very few companies know how to go about that. You know, more and more countries now require transparency, more governments require transparency. And so I'm excited to help Edelman with the trust work that they do across the continent. So that takes up some of my time. But I definitely have a lot more time than I did previously.
Yeah.
I'm being intentional, as I said to you earlier. I'm being very intentional about where I spend my time. I'm spending time with people that I really care about. I'm spending a lot more time with my family. And I'm spending a lot more time with myself.
Family is key. If you can pull in all those ties, if it's an estranged family, try and pull everybody back together, because there is such a powerful surge when you are together with your family. It's so fulfilling. It's worth it. So go ahead and mend those ties. Take care of that time that you have. It's elusive. It goes. It never comes back. This has been me, Mwikali, with iconic Gina Din on Icons. See you next Wednesday as I introduce you to another iconic woman. Have a good night. This is me getting them out of the way.
Did you watch Oprah falling the other day?
Yeah.
I did.
Talking about gravity.
She was talking about balance.
Balance.
Oh, you did.
Did you watch?
I like your makeup. Who did that? Did you do it yourself?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Tori, she likes.
Like meetings. I mean, my driver probably knows the routine better than me. He's so used to seeing it. Like, yeah, I know. She's like, oh, like I'm sure sometimes he's probably wanting to say, you haven't contoured yet. Like, try to go to get the best show you can, right?
Yeah.
That's why they call me the best.
Yes,
you are
you're
the best.
simply
Yes,
the
you are.
best.
I was ever ready, Tina Sana.
Uh-huh.